The entire system crashed, minutes before the CEO's most significant software launch. Panic spread through the boardroom. Screens blacked out. Data vanished. Millions hung in the balance. Then, from the shadows of the back office, she stood up. Ava, quiet, overlooked and unseen, plugged in her laptop. And what she uncovered wasn't just a virus. It was sabotage from someone inside the CEO's trusted circle. This isn't just a tech failure. It's a story about silence, resilience, and the black woman who held the entire company together. This is when the CEO's system crashed. A black woman from the back office saved the day. Comment your city if you're watching. On the 18th floor of a high-rise tech firm in downtown Chicago, the air constantly buzzed with ambition. Suits walked with purpose, deadlines loomed like storm clouds, and the CEO's voice carried across glass walls like a command from the heavens. In the midst of it all, tucked away behind a cubicle marked Operations Support, sat Ava Jefferson. Our 33-year-old systems analyst, Ava was quiet, methodical, and vastly overqualified for the grunt work they gave her. She didn't complain, not aloud anyway. Ava had grown up in Bronzeville, raised by a single mother who taught her that surviving meant staying silent and working twice as hard. Her days were filled with spreadsheets no one double-checked, protocols nobody respected, and system alerts everyone ignored, until something broke. The only time Ava's name came up was when something needed fixing, not recognition, not promotion, just fixing. The boys upstairs, as they called them, knew how to charm clients, close deals, and take credit. But when the architecture behind their polished apps and sleek presentations cracked, they sent for Ava like a janitor for a spill. Still, she stayed. For the paycheck, for her sick mom, for the hope, no matter how thin, that her moment would come. She watched as others rose around her, some less skilled, many less disciplined, but all sharing one trait she didn't. They weren't black women in back-office roles. But then, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, just as the CEO was about to unveil a $2.5 million software launch to investors live on Zoom, everything went dark. Not just the screens, the entire system. Emails froze, security logs disappeared, codebases vanished, panic spread like wildfire, and Ava quietly stood up from her desk. The room above her descended into chaos. Executives scrambled, barking, into phones, pacing with furrowed brows and slicked hair now damp with sweat. Leads, primarily white men in Patagonia vests, cursed under their breath as they refreshed dashboards that stayed blank. Within minutes, Ava received a ping, not a polite request but an urgent all-caps Slack message. "Ava, get up here now." She grabbed her laptop, kept her head down and climbed the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. When she entered the boardroom, every head turned, not in recognition, but in desperation. She was invisible until she was needed. The CEO, a tall, polished man named Grant Taylor, gestured toward her like a magician calling on an assistant. "Fix it," he said, as if that was all there was to it. Ava didn't waste time on greetings. She plugged in, launched terminal windows, and began tracing the digital blood trail. Within minutes, she found it. A breach. A silent, sophisticated worm had been hiding in the company's mainframe for weeks, quietly gathering data, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Someone had triggered it remotely, likely an insider, and now, just as the firm stood poised for its most significant leap forward, everything was collapsing. "You've got 10 minutes, Grant snapped. Ava kept typing. Her heart raced, but her hands were steady. She bypassed corrupted modules, rerouted IP protocols, isolated the infected clusters, and launched a rollback sequence that even the senior architects didn't understand. One engineer leaned over her shoulder and muttered, "Wait, where'd you learn to do that?" She didn't answer, because they never asked when they handed her menial tasks. They never asked why a woman with a double degree in computer science and cyber defense was filing incident reports and resetting passwords. 5 minutes passed. The Zoom link flickered back to life. The software dashboard returned. And then the codebases reappeared, restored. Ava had done it. But instead of applause, silence filled the room. Grant cleared his throat and faced the investors. Sorry for the hiccup, folks. We had a minor issue, but it's all under control. Let's proceed. Ava. Waited for a nod, a word, anything, but he'd already moved on. She turned to leave, clutching her laptop, until she noticed something in the audit logs. A name. Someone from Grant's inner circle had authorized the malware upload 3 weeks ago. She didn't say anything. Not yet. Later that evening, while the celebration echoed on the upper floors, Ava sat alone, watching the system logs replay the breach in perfect detail. Her fingers hovered over her keyboard as she debated what to do. Reporting it could mean retaliation, or worse, burying it for the good of the company. But then she saw her name in the internal Slack archive. One of the executives had typed, "Get the girl from the back to patch this. She's good at cleaning messes. Not analyst, not engineer, not even her name." The next morning, Ava walked into Grant's office with a printed report and a flash drive. "I know who did it," she said flatly. Grant leaned back, trying to play calm. "Let's keep this internal. I can offer you—" She cut him off. "I'm not asking." By noon, Ava had submitted the evidence to the board's ethics committee and CC'd the legal department. Word spread like wildfire. A formal investigation was launched. The executive behind the breach was suspended. The launch was salvaged, but the story had shifted. The woman from the back office had not just saved the day, she had exposed the rot inside the machine. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments. A week. Later, Ava was moved out of her cubicle, but not demoted, promoted. Interim head of systems integrity, the email read. It wasn't just a new title. It was proof. Proof that when black women show up, work harder, and still go unseen, they don't stay invisible forever. The story rippled through the company. Some tried to paint Ava as lucky. Others said she had timed it right. But the few who truly understood knew this moment had been earned over years of silent brilliance. Ava didn't take a victory lap. She didn't need to. Instead, she created a mentorship program for other overlooked tech employees, especially women of color. She opened doors. Others had slammed shut. Because she knew what it felt like to be needed only in emergencies, spoken of only behind closed doors, and expected to fix broken systems without ever being given the keys. What happened in that boardroom wasn't just about code. It was about recognition, justice, and the quiet rebellion of being excellent in a world that expected you to stay small. Ava's story is not rare. It's the story of countless black women navigating corporate spaces with brilliance and grace, too often unseen until everything collapses. The real question is, why does it take a crisis for people to see the value that's always been there? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and fresh videos.